Shadowe shoot shot. Shadowe here. Shadowe shoot shot. Once again, we got another episode. You got the Shadowe, you got Mr. Storm. We're on the Shadowe Knows Network. We're doing our thing, man. And we're excited. This is going to be more of a lighthearted, fun episode or podcast episode. We decided to just talk about stuff that we enjoy, stuff that we love, which is toys and comic books, action figures and comic books. And of course, they talk about it a lot on Pixel Plastic Inc., Toybox Chronicles, Mr. Chet Maddox be the toy action figure unveils and stuff, man. So we decided to just have a little conversation about it, you know, when it comes to the world of professional wrestling. So, with that being said,
well, hold on, Shadowe. Before we get to that, we got a little business to handle, man.
Yeah.
You know, the main point is we got to talk about AEW's new deal.
Yeah. Yes, of course. That's right. I forgot. AEW's new deal, which kind of geared towards our conversation because of the launching of the news and everything else like that. So so jumping right into it, AEW is just finalizing their new deal with Warner Discovery. And so what that entails that AEW Dynamite will still exist on TNT and AEW other television content will be on TBS. Now, the bigger part of this news and this information is what expands. And I think we talked about this on one of the other episodes of the podcast, which was it would be great if AEW pay-per-views was on Max, just like WWE is on Peacock. So part of that deal is AEW content will be on Max, I believe, starting in 2025. So we got WWE going to Netflix, and now we have AEW going to Max. It's going to be very intriguing to see how they elevate their content, their product in these next coming weeks and these next coming months to lead towards this new platform for them. They're going to have a new audience. They're going to have an opportunity to grow their brand, grow their audience, do all these great things on Max, because there's a lot of people that watch Max that probably don't currently watch professional wrestling. Sure. So the real question is, how good is their content? Where is their content at right now to where they're going to be able to elevate their product and their brand? Now, you've got Jon Moxley, you've got and his crew. They're doing this mysterious thing or whatever and stuff, and it's just like, come on, get up. Leading in each and every week, we should have more of a clue as to where the storyline is going. But every week, it's just a beatdown and no answers. And it's to a point to where it's like, no, this is not like the NWO takeover. This is not like the NXT takeover. It's not like any of that. So the real question is, what is it about? I mean, I don't even know who this broad is that's with Jon Moxley. I don't know who that is. I don't remember her in WWE. So is this a WWE takeover angle? Like we see that the potential of Bobby Lashley and all these other guys coming in and stuff, which is cool, you know, that's fantastic and stuff. But like, there is enough wrestlers that are out of contract that could be in contact with AEW to where you can do a twisted version of a takeover, you know, or them versus us kind of thing. But that's just a question on whether or not Tony Khan has smart enough people and creative to write storylines like that. Now, here's the thing, a rumor that everyone's been talking about is that Shane McMahon has an agreement with AEW and he is coming in. So, I love Shane O'Mac, and I think Shane O'Mac is fantastic. And only unless Shane is buying AEW or going 50-50 partnership with AEW, so he has a good amount of creative control with AEW, he should get involved. Just wait. And I don't know, he's kind of like washed his hands at WWE, you know, with Triple H taking over, his brother-in-law and his sister taking over in the background. Where is Shane's spot in WWE? But if this is the way for him to like continue to be in the industry and to make his own mark, we'll see what happens, man. But if Shane is involved in this angle, I'm hoping that they have planned this thing out What is this? This is October, November, December, January. Next 3 months, you got to deliver. You got to build this thing up to where something. And the one thing that I hope that AEW will stop doing because it's irritating, and doing the Monday Night Raws, it made sense. I understood that. But as for right now, build your product, build your brand in that time span of your television show. I really am sick of shows going over time. When if I record AEW and that thing goes, it's supposed to end at 9 o'clock, and it ends at 9:05 or 9:01 or 9:10. I don't see it. So who does it actually benefit other than those that are watching live? But if
Mm.
the main event is not good, why are you going over? And I'll be honest with you, there has not been a good main event in AEW in a while. Um, Will Ospreay and Ricochet really did good. They could have done better. The match was cut a little bit, which is, I'm happy for. But honestly, marquee matches like that are for pay-per-views that you build
Yeah.
towards. You don't just give it away, you tease it, you build towards it. You have interference, you have a lot of things plotted in where they're diverted, but then they come back together and face each other in the ring. Now, yeah, you can do it again. Some of the best television I've seen in the last couple of weeks has been him. Who's that kid? I forgot his name. Escobar. Escobar and the little black kid that's wrestling, and I don't forgot his name.
It
Carmelo
goes to
Hayes.
show how much
Carmelo
you
Hayes.
actually love
Carmelo.
AEW. You can't remember these guys' names.
No, I'm talking about WWE.
Oh,
Carmelo Hayes and what's his name? The guy that's married to Charlotte Flair. They put on like they've wrestled 6 times,
uh,
and you got chance that this is awesome, this is awesome, this is awesome for like the last several weeks. Now, AEW, you got Ricochet and you got Osprey in the ring. You had these other. There's just look. Let's get to the fun stuff because honestly, I just want to talk about the fun stuff.
well,
And
well, let's
and I and
before we
I
jump in, let everybody know one, the AEW deal is for 3 years, reportedly up to $555 million. So a 3 year deal, 3 years is not a long time.
no,
So
no, it's
you
not.
know,
And you got to
I don't
deliver,
know
right?
if I think Warner Brothers wanted that. I think AEW didn't want that. Like 3 years. I think they probably would have wanted more years.
WWE
But
got
50,
10 years.
555 million. It's not bad. Not bad for 3 years. We'll see how this rolls. But it's kind of odd. If in 3 years, if it's kind of like the ratings aren't going up and they don't think things are working out, it's like gives Warner Brothers a pretty good out of that scenario. So,
And
but again, also too, if you're enjoying the Shadow Shoe Shot, make sure that you like, you're commenting, and most definitely the main thing that you can do, because we know that 65% of the people that watch the channel don't do this. Yeah, don't subscribe. If you want us to keep kicking in this kind of material, you gotta subscribe, you gotta support it. So we're gonna go into a couple of key things now. Now we're gonna move into some WWE toys because we thought or wrestling toys essential. It's gonna be some WWE, some AEW. We're gonna see some of the other brands as well. But now in Shadow's mind, he says that Jakks Pacific, no one does it better. But I got to be honest with you, as we were coming up and had the all the guys in the back in the production department that was coming up with some of these assets and everything for us, and I started taking a look at some of the Mattel uh WWE figures. I gotta tell you, like I said, I think like most things in like the '80s, and when you see these like strange things, and they try to make malls and all these situations better, it like as a moment now. But now when you look at it, like I remember it wasn't that cool in the '80s when we were talking about neon and going into stores. I'm thinking that Jack Specific is not going to work, but we're going to start it off with some of the ones that in the heyday up to the present ones. So we're gonna roll in, and this is Shadow's Jakks Pacific. Everybody remembers that point. Jakks is still around. They're doing some Simpsons action figures, and
not
they've had
not
some.
right.
Mostly to a kids line, but in the heydays, they were on the edge of doing all of the WWE figures, and they were using facial scans. And we had an opportunity to tour the Jakks main offices when it was in Malibu, California, and that was
Mhm.
actually a pretty good event. It was a small company; they were trying to do big things, and it wasn't
Right.
until Pirates of the Caribbean they killed them.
Yeah,
So
they literally had innovative people
yeah, they did.
at that company, and during
Hmm.
that time and era and stuff, they were making smart moves.
Yeah.
But again, it always kind of comes down to it's like when you get certain execs that don't know toys and don't
Hmm.
care about toys, but they're just execs. They start steering into other directions,
Yep.
which usually ruins the company. And I think in this level of this age,
Yeah.
this is what happened. This is what
Yeah.
happened to
Yeah.
Jakks
That's what
because
happened. All
Jakks
right,
is
man.
not what it was. Jakks
No.
used to be the best manufacturer of toys, action figures, and they had the most reasonable price there it was.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna go down memory lane with Shadow and Jax. And like I said again, if you're a wrestling fan, you remember this again. They had the facial scans, they
Yup.
had great points of articulation,
Yeah.
and they had. So I think the one thing that I thought that they were ahead of their time on was the packaging. I thought their packaging displayed more of the action figure and gave a more
Clear picture.
grand view of the
Mhm.
stuff inside. So I give them credit on that one. So,
Yeah,
uh,
and just right there, like when you look to the right,
yeah,
the back of it, and the back, the top part is the Ruthless Aggression line. You got Rey
yep,
Mysterio, John Cena,
hmm,
Batista, Randy Orton, Kurt Angle, and Triple H.
yep,
The articulation on those figures were unbelievable. And that's to me, which was these are like 6 inch, 6.5 to 7 inch
yeah,
figures.
hmm,
And that was what made them stand out of all of them. So,
sure,
yeah,
sure,
bro. Yeah,
sure.
100%.
So we're rolling to some. Go down and see some famous characters from the line and what they did right, and some stuff that they did. I guess somewhere down the line, Mattel improved on. The Ultimate Aggression line. Window packaging, again, they were ahead of the game when it comes to window packaging and
Yeah,
displaying their characters out.
yeah,
They weren't scared to take and do several generations of figures and everything. They did a really good job. I thought their packaging was the highlight on a lot
yeah.
of stuff that
And
they did.
and then the cool part was it's like a lot of these packages, these 5, 6, 7 packages and stuff,
Hmm.
they started doing like pay-per-view ones where these
Uh-huh.
guys that wrestled each other and everything.
Yeah.
So that was kind of very innovative and that was cool when they did that and stuff. And these types of figures, these ones in it, they weren't as articulated, so they were cheaper. So like if you couldn't afford the deluxe editions, you can get the regular edition action figures, and they were way more affordable. I think they were like under $10. So
All right.
that was cool back then.
All right. Well, like I said again, now this is where again their packaging. They presented it with the wide opening, the classic wrestling superstars, their deluxe aggression. I thought that's a great looking big show. I
Yeah.
thought their titles looked extremely well. Now we're throwing one on a guy that we sat with for a while. I remember when Rob Van Dam had his comic book store
Wait, wait,
in
wait.
Lakewood. We
Okay.
had the
Yeah. Don't change the
opportunity
picture yet.
yeah, when we had the opportunity to see the Ultimate Warrior.
Oh,
There was
yeah.
a lot of things discovered that day.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. This was now. Okay. No kayfabe. No kayfabe. So let's just
No,
keep
no,
it
no.
real. Look, this was in a time when it was like we were doing stuff with Rob, and Rob was doing other things, and
Yeah.
like Ultimate Warrior at the
Mhm.
time. Now we were the first to produce comic books, in wrestling comic books, and then after that, like it kind of just like trickle effect. Other people were doing cover. Ultimate Warrior was doing his own comic book, and yeah, the experience of like
Wow.
experience that in real life, it was just like,
Yeah.
okay, hold on a second, wait a minute. This and the best way to describe it is this way. Currently on television, on Max, there's a show called The Riddler. And
Yeah.
this is one of the
No, no,
best
no, no.
shows on TV right now.
The penguin.
Oh, I'm sorry, Penguin. I don't know
Yeah.
why I said Riddler. Penguin.
Yeah.
And you watch it, you're saying, wow, this guy's good. And then you realize it's Colin Farrell. Like,
Yeah.
whoa, this guy is into the character. I mean, wow. And you had no idea it was Colin Farrell. The Ultimate Warrior, Jim Hellwig, has disappeared. And he had become just Warrior. I believe he actually legally changed his name to
Yeah,
Warrior.
I think he
And
did too.
if you read any of his comic books, it was like, I'm on, what is that psychedelic thing that you
Yeah,
take? Yeah, it was like this dude was out there, and he was doing mushrooms or something because this dude was out there. And there's a difference. Like I met Macho Man. I walked him down at Bash at the beach, in Huntington Beach. And he's like, "Hey, shut," when he's on TV, he say, "Oh yeah, the Macho Mania boy," and he would do all that backstage. I mean, like when he was walking, it's like, "Hey, Shadow, walk with me," and I walk with him. It's like, "Yo, brother, you doing this?" And it was just a regular conversation as he's going to the ring. And then when he got to the ring, boom, lights went on. He became the Macho Man Randy Savage television. The
yeah.
Ultimate Warrior, bro.
He,
This dude is
let's
rest in peace and all that. But
Yeah, yeah. It was an experience that I think when like they talk about old school wrestling and keeping yourself in the character. And I don't know if he was doing it on intention or not or something, but it was like I remember at the time and everything, it was like, okay, you see him on TV and it's a little but then you get there in person and you're like, oh my
yeah,
God, this guy's selling this. Now
yeah,
it'd be considered like cosplay or something else like that, but my man was selling it,
yeah,
and but shout out to Rob Van Dam's old comic book store. If anybody had the opportunity to go to that location or the
yeah,
second location that he had,
yeah.
Rob was always on the cusp of something
Yeah,
different,
yeah, yeah,
So give
absolutely.
him credit on that. But the
Now,
Ultimate Warrior was, yeah, he was.
exactly.
When they say ultimate, that's exactly what he was.
Now, wait.
When you
If
take
you
a
could go
look,
back, go back 1 second, 1 second. Just go back. This a big show action figure, the
yeah,
deluxe aggression. These were, for me personally, the
mhm,
best designs, the best action figures ever made still today. I have about 3 or 4 of this particular uh, big show. I have transformed some of them into characters I've always wanted to create, but just the design of these characters and the baseness of it, these were the best for me. For me personally, I
mhm.
just you know best
Again,
ever.
like I said, again, this is where we're gonna, Mr. Storm's gonna agree to disagree because when I start looking again, when we pull the WWE assets up, it's and the Mattel stuff that's up, it's gonna look a little different. So,
Yeah,
but again, hey, some things playing people's minds a little better. So we roll back, and when they go
uh,
classics, superstars, they go. A Tiny Tim Lister, actually known as Zeus, from the No Hold Barred movie, which they did touch on that in the McMahon special. That
yeah,
was, and I remember going to the movies to see that movie, and I still think today it is probably one of the hardest watchable movies
yeah,
again. After you saw it once, it was like when you tried to watch again, you like it lives in your mind sitting in the theater. I think because the WWD did that whole build up to him, he really came to the ring, and you were like, okay. Then you see the movie, and you're like, oh my god,
yeah.
like, this
The
was a
match, the
train
movie,
wreck.
and it was like Vince's genius idea to do the match, the movie, and to be honest, it was like, oh yeah, it was one of the worst promotional things ever done. The match itself was horrible. Why? Because Tiny was an actor.
Yeah,
He was not a wrestler. And I worked with him. I worked
yeah,
with him back in the what was it? After that pay-per-view, I said a
yeah.
few years later, I did this TV show as an extra called Hard Times on Planet Earth, which
Uh-huh.
was this alien crash lands on Earth and he's trying to learn how to be human. And so one episode was about wrestling. So Mondo brought me, Larry Piccone, um, and some other guys into this for this TV show, and Tiny Lister was one of the actors that's going to wrestle him in the thing. and he still did the and he did the whole gimmick that he
Yeah.
did. I mean, he milked the Zeus character for
He
like
did. He
years.
did.
He did for
Yeah, he
years.
did.
But I will say this about this guy: he's one of the funniest, coolest guys you ever want to meet. He was
Yeah.
like really a cool guy, but at the same time, dude, he's a little edgy. And the dude was a little edgy on just some of the conversations because all I can say is he's wild, and he was kind of Hollywood on
Yeah.
Hollywood on like Hollywood mentality, but
Yeah.
overall funny dude, man. He would just have you cracking up in between scenes and stuff, and talking about his time working with Hogan and talking about all the other kind of stuff that he experienced in wrestling. Wow. But yeah, cool. It's cool. It's like for nostalgia, it'd be cool to own that classic Superstars.
Well, don't worry. I
Piece.
think you can get it on eBay. I don't think this one's
Yeah.
going for much. But yeah, again, from the 3 packs to the to their classic super, they did a really good job of presenting the figures and the action. I will give them credit. For a smaller company, they really kind of like moved into. You look at there's one for Sergeant Slaughter. There's another Ultimate Warrior because God knows there's never enough Ultimate Warrior. And
Mhm.
we were looking at the ones with the robes. And
Yeah.
again, a lot of classic characters and wrestlers from eras that they touched upon a lot of those characters, legacy characters, they got into
Yeah.
it. So
Yeah.
that
You
was
talking
the
about the
really
Samoans?
nice thing about Jakks. You
Yeah,
know,
the Wild Samoans, man. Those right
yep,
there, man. That's the legacy.
there it
You talk
is.
about Roman Reigns' parents, one
Yep,
of his dad and stuff. So,
yep,
and then you got Sergeant Slaughter, who's now legendary,
absolutely.
honorary GI Joe, man.
Hmm.
So having and owning these pieces now, like some of them actually go for 100 or
Yeah,
hundreds of dollars and stuff, especially when you collect on a Sergeant Slaughter, because Sergeant Slaughter was a rarity made. They haven't remade many Sergeant Slaughters and stuff. There was plenty of Ultimate Warrior stuff or whatever, but Sergeant Slaughter, he's a rare one, and that goes and stuff. So yeah, you think about the legacy now. These classic figures here with the Samoans, the Wild Samoans, yeah, they're going
hmm.
for some dollars now,
Oh, I'm
definitely.
sure.
But
I'm sure.
yeah.
And you can look at now. We're gonna go with some of the old school
uh,
guys. You got a Ric Flair, Roddy
uh,
Piper, Dean Malenko.
yeah,
you know,
man, look, I got that Ric Flair. I was so excited about that Ric
yeah,
Flair, and I'll be honest, I had to open it,
yeah,
and I wish I didn't. I wish I saved it, the deluxe classic Ric Flair, but yeah, I had to open that one, and it's in my display, and it's just like the Roddy Piper got that. Again, to me, it's like look at that. That's one of the like so the way that they made it, the robe and the material, and that was one of the things I like. Sometimes Jakks gave you cloth material
yeah,
versus just the plastic,
hmm,
plastic. Everything is plastic. Like the
yeah,
Piper piece is plastic, a plastic kilt. They should have made him a cloth kilt. And I was thinking it was like they up and down and win and lose and save money or whatever. But like it would have been cool if Piper's kilt was cloth as well. But when they made the wrestlers with the robes, they was usually cloth robes and they were like really freaking cool and stuff. So
yeah.
that's good.
Represents the best of Flair. We
Yeah.
rolled through now. See, they got 2 generations of The Rock because again, when you look at you can see the classic version. I don't think captures as well as the deluxe classic. The deluxe classic looks very plasticky and everything, and I thought they did not capture his image as well. He looks more
Yeah.
like Namor than The Rock.
Yeah, no, listen, I'll be honest with you. All the regular
Yeah,
articulated figures, which were cheaper, again, they
yeah,
were cheaper, but I was not a fan of all those Jakks figures. Now, I would collect them if there was a figure that didn't have a deluxe edition one.
yeah,
I would collect them if I was a fan of that wrestler. But all of the deluxe, I would grab as many as I could. And like the Rock, I got a couple of these of the Rock and stuff. I think on one of those Toys versus Games, I traded the Stone Cold, one of our videos from Toys versus Games,
uh-huh.
these deluxe editions of Stone Cold. And I thought about it a couple of days. I was like, man, I don't even know why I did that. I should have held on to that one. But yeah, these are fantastic figures. Yeah, the body scan, the face scan, and body scan, they were the only ones doing that at the time. and you could just see, and then of course there's been tons of Rock action
Oh
figures,
yeah, yeah,
and in the classic Superstars one, you could find a Rocky Maivia one where he wear the blue
yeah.
Samoan outfits or whatever. Yeah, if you're lucky you can find that. I think he made them take those off the shelf. Because
Well,
Rocky
yeah.
does not want to be recorded.
I do know that Mattel did do a set, I believe, like maybe a year or a couple of years ago, that actually had his initial look that was in that one, and he kind of rebrought it. So it was like, yeah, you don't see that look too often, but when you do, it's actually kind of funny.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Yeah,
That is crazy. Yeah, it
we'll
is
roll it
interesting time.
over
But
to
you
a
can
little bit
change your
more.
brand. You
Yeah, we've got to
can
get
elevate.
the got to have the
You can grow.
classic Nick Foley character pop in. And then from there, you're gonna have the Goldberg. You got to do Goldberg.
Again, hear me, Mr. Storm.
Yep, I
Okay,
can hear
cool.
you.
Oh, all right, here we go. Yeah, classic Mick Foley. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Mick Foley, man. I got like a couple, one or two of Mick Foley. I love Mick
Uh,
Foley. Big Goldberg, never been a fan of him. Still not a
yeah.
fan. He was at the Bad Blood pay per view. I don't care. I'm so done with Goldberg. Please move on from Goldberg. Like there's nothing to prove. There's nothing. Like I love what's his name said about Goldberg. It was
Yeah.
like you're a one hit wonder. You're like a one move wrestler, and it's the truth. You can portray yourself as this XYZ, and congratulations, you've had success in your career. Now move on, bro. We're done.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, I think he's
that's all I got to
collecting
say. But Mick
classic
Foley,
cars and everything.
yeah, he's got TV show, the classic
Yeah,
car
he's.
thing, and all
Hey,
that. That's
let's
cool.
put it like this. He's
Congratulations.
doing okay. Wrestling
Yeah,
paved the way to another career for him.
yeah, yeah. You
uh,
know, yeah.
and yeah, that's it from that's boys. The last one from those Jackson again. Like I said, they lived really good in Shadow's mind. And as we were going through, and again, we were going through assets, and I had some of the editors in the back go through it, and they started sending me assets for some of the. And we're going to look at some of the 2024 releases for Mattel, and these are some of the. I believe these are well, one is the Shawn Michaels. This is San Diego Comic Con exclusive version of
Mm.
Shawn Michaels. Look, the posability and everything, what the difference of another decade down the line is. Some of these figures really, really look really good, and I think they've done a great job on just facial scanning. Some of the old classic costumes, the posabilities. Again, I know you're saying Jakks Pacific. Up until I saw these assets, and I have the Mr. T version that you gave me a couple of
Mm.
years ago. And look, that's like right down to the gold chains and everything like that. The tail's kicking some butt, man. The tail's kicking some butt. And of
Now look,
course, obviously, since you saw Jakks Pacific, we actually had to show you the WWE Mattel version of the Ultimate Warrior. I don't know if they captured him. I think they got his look well. I don't know about the face,
yeah,
but the look and it does remind you of. But the face, I don't know if that one's too well. Is it?
yeah.
Uh,
Well, I will say this is I think the Mattel figures are cool. I
yeah,
think they are cool. Um, there's the knock I have on Mattel is one the price.
yeah,
Price is freaking ridiculous. I really only collect Mattel when they go on clearance at Target. And that's
yeah,
just because I'm not spending $25 on an action figure. Not doing it. Sorry. And then when it comes to like their version of deluxe editions, what has
yeah.
more
The Ultimate.
accessories,
Hmm.
I'm 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 not spending $30 on an action
Yeah,
figure.
yeah,
So I can tell you, and I know that this was like decades ago, but Jakks Pacifics did as good as or better articulation with their figures, and they were like $15, you know. And I think that the deluxe editions were like 17, 18. And look, I know we can't, but just all the articulation on these figures were way better. I mean, should I say is just as good as what they're doing now. And here's my other problem that I have with Mattel. Most of their figures are like 5 inch, 5.5 inch, unless you got like one of those giant characters, like
Well,
I think I got Earthquake.
this is where I'll disagree about the articulation because of the fact is that being on Toybox Chronicles every week, I can tell
Mhm.
you, they've got the double rocking parts in the shoulder areas, the ab crunches and everything. They've got more articulation than the Jakks did in the Hates because the technology changed. And this is the same. Mattel's using the same kind of technology that Hasbro's using on some of their other lines, like GI Joe Classified or Marvel Legends. So their articulation's up. I thought this face scan does not look well for
Yeah.
the Ultimate Warrior. That's where they failed on this one, and it could be just a color design. But I just thought for a deluxe figure that this one is, I think they call it they call it the Ultimate.
Hmm.
Uh, then but now here's the thing that'll put a little bit of pride and joy in your face, and you can look and see like the articulation on this Roddy Piper figure, and I think their
Yeah.
packaging is wonderful as well because again I own a couple of these the ultimate editions, and their
Mhm.
packaging is look, if you're an in-box or out-of-box collector, you can display it either kind of way, but they did come with, like I said, cloth material, so
Yeah.
like
Shirts.
the you can put the shirts on, the kilts, the belts. These were the great thing. I think the face that looks like Roddy Piper. They've done a good job on this. So again, some of them are hit and miss, some aren't.
Yeah.
We take a
Yeah.
look and every.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Like
this is Bret Hart.
now, see, here's the thing. I do like I can appreciate the
Yeah,
design of the characters. You get the three heads, which
yeah,
to me is not necessary, but it increases the rate and the price.
it
The
does.
arms, the replaceable arms, where
Yeah,
okay, you can put a jacket and armor.
yeah,
Honestly, to me, it is, and this is just not just them, but any designer. I would have created a jacket that he could put on and take off. I would have created a jawline which you can move and open the mouth, close the mouth. That eliminates the whole point and purpose of having three heads and this remove the arms, add the arms, and add the hands. And then the other thing is the hands. You can have, they used to make figures where the hands were open and closed and stuff. So I'm not really tripping on the hand thing, which is cool. You can add it to change up where they can hold things or whatever. That's cool. But the thing I got a problem with is like this jacket thing and the arm removable arm stuff, and then their heads with your facial expressions. That was one of the key points of like what when they made a new figure, they put a new expression on their face. And the
yeah,
biggest thing I got, like, this figure looks great, and I
yeah.
would probably pay like 15, $20 for. But this figure's going for 30, $35.
Well, let me tell you
And
something. The $15 figures are gone. That whole era and line and everything that's there, it sound like an old man's on the porch now. It's
no,
like
no, I mean
that's
you
gone in
spend it.
toys. They don't even
Yeah,
have Marvel Legends that cost $15.
yeah,
Like
the base
most of the
price is
stuff
$20.
now is like 20 to 25 almost basically,
Yeah,
24.95. And
yeah,
so the whole market's changed on that part. I don't think we're going to see other than those brand new Jakks Pacific, the Simpson figures. Those are like $7 or $8, but they're also smaller figures as well. But you're not going to see them. They're not going to go back down to 15. I don't care what they do in the industry. Those days are over with. Now
yeah,
it's all about the marketability.
and I think that on some levels it's like okay when you look at this thing, it's marketed towards kids, not
Yeah.
collectors.
Hmm.
But at the same time, it's like, hey, you know what? Here's a question I have. What if a little kid swallows one of the hands or one of the arm
Yeah.
pieces, whatever?
Well, this
That's
I don't think
whatever.
this is
That's
for kids. The Ultimate Edition lines, they have that their regular standard line that has like minimum articulation. And this is for just let's be honest, this is for the male collectors out
is it for
there.
the collectors?
It's for
Because
the older collectors.
it, if it is, and I'm just saying, like,
Because you buying your kid a $35
no,
figure, man.
no, I wouldn't. But I'm
Yeah, that's
saying
why I said.
if you're gonna market this towards me to me,
Yeah.
I'm saying like this is a 5 inch figure. What happened? And I guess like you said, except for McFarlane, because McFarlane gives you 6 inch figures. I think that the details in what McFarlane does out totally blows out the window what a lot of the Mattel does, and that's the difference
That's
to
where I'm
me.
going to
Where
disagree.
where I do have problems with McFarlane's toys,
Yes.
but what I will say is this is that he can still earmark his figures, some really cool figures, for $20,
Yeah,
whereas
but McFarlane figures
WWE's are now
are cheap.
25 and higher.
Here's the thing. McFarlane could do that because McFarlane makes cheap pieces of crap, and I've got a whole shelf full of his stuff that the arms break, the legs break, the
Yeah,
situations.
I will.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he has terrible stands that he has the cheapest figure stands because most of his characters can't stand on their own. So I will
true.
say
Yeah,
that
okay.
yeah, McFarlane's not giving you sometimes. Every now and then, there's a
Quality.
great character he produces and he moves
Yeah,
to the top. But most of the time, let's be quite honest with you, he's producing some stuff that basically you can pick. Look, that the Owlman figure that wasn't selling. I picked up at Walmart, like I think about 6 months back after it'd been out for like 2 months. I think I got that for like either between $7.99 and $13.99. But it was sitting there. A lot of McFarlane figures hit that clearance aisle, and
yeah.
Walmart and Targets a lot more than a lot of other figures did.
Which
So
is yeah. I look, and we'll get to it. So I guess we're gonna get to it. But yeah, when it comes to McFarlane's, yeah, the cool thing is like I own several McFarlane things,
yeah,
but I bought all of those on clearance. I bought all of
yeah,
them, and it's either like 12 to under $10. The WWE, hey, you get lucky and stuff that
yeah,
they made too many of. When Christmas time comes, like actually we're in that season, this being
yeah. We're getting
October,
close to it.
we're in that
Hmm.
season to where
Hmm.
clearance is coming, baby. And I'm
Yeah,
like, I'm looking for WWE. A matter of fact, the last set of classics with like Hulk Hogan and whatever, all that stuff is clearance. So like five, I saw some WWE figures now for like $5, five
yeah,
sixty
yeah.
nine or something like that at
Some of
Target.
that stuff's popping
Um,
up, man. I think,
yeah.
I think, especially like we're talking, there's going to be a lot of Hogan's on clearance.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
So
But
then
like
the
I,
Undertaker. Now you're
I'm
saying it right here: multiple
hands
hands,
down.
multiple heads, hat, championship belt, but he's got the actual cloth jacket. Now,
Bro,
come on, how can you do this wrong, bro?
look, that is a figure
Yeah.
that I would want to collect. I honestly own about, I think, a dozen, a dozen Undertakers throughout the
Yeah.
years, mostly Jakks. Jakks put out every Undertaker that Jakks did, I was buying all the ones I could find. I've
Yeah.
got multiple hats, multiple, with the cloth. I got him with the priest robe. I got a lot of Undertakers, man. Um,
Yeah.
but this one, you show me this, I'm like, okay, you know what? This is
Yeah.
one that I would have to put on my list. I would have to have,
Yeah.
and that's the thing where I was going to say, like this.
Mhm.
Let me see. This here is
Yeah.
what's his name? The earthquake. And the thing about this figure is, it's about six. Here, I'll put it next to the Jakks. I'll put it next to the Jakks. Here's the Jakks. This is 6 inch. So this is about 6 inches. Now this is earthquake. He was almost 7 feet. He was like 6'8". That's the only thing where sometimes when Mattel makes figures like this, I'm
Uh,
like gun ho. I'm gun for it. I'm like, I gotta have it. Of course, I got this from Toys. This is open, so I got this for
yeah.
like a couple of bucks. But I love it. I like the fact to where it's like, give me a 6 inch figure. That should be the base for any action figure, except for when you're talking about like a Rey Mysterio or some of the
Oh
other
yeah.
sort
Yeah.
of wrestlers and stuff. But I feel like then you're giving me quality because I can pose them. And just as the articulation and everything is there, so is the Jakks. The articulation and everything is there. So I think when you compare, look at the two next to each other, you're like, Bobby Lashley, Earthquake. I mean, there's some real positives on both ends,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but I can agree with you that when I look at like this Undertaker and the cloth thing and the
Yeah.
hat, I gotta have it, man. I gotta
Yeah.
have it, but I'm
Yeah. It
not gonna
is.
spend
And he is
seventy
probably one
five
of the
dollars.
uh best actual WWE creations.
Yeah,
Because the music and everything, his look, he's just iconic. But they did a great job of making this figure look as close as you can get. Like you can almost see him walking down. You expect to see like lightning become behind him and like maybe Paul Bearer is show up. So this is
yeah.
kind of
You
cool.
know the
Again,
one
they
thing, the
go
one
ahead.
thing I would say that I always hated, and I've hated about, or when I was angry about WWE,
Yeah,
when of course we saw the no holds barred. Undertaker was in that,
yeah,
but
yeah,
you go to the first WWE film announcement,
oh
and then
yeah,
they did John Cena and all that in the 12 rounds. My
yeah,
thing was this, And then even when you talk about then Boom Studios got a contract to do WWE comic books, and they just were doing comic books about inside the wrestling ring. I always felt like the WWE missed the boat when they could have made an Undertaker film, like a film of the mythology behind his character, not in the ring, but just this Undertaker ominous character, the dead man, walking, maybe stopping evil villains, whatever the storyline would be. I'm sure you and Dr. Brentley could have written a great script for it,
Well,
but I always felt like I wanted
here's
to
what
see Undertaker's character in a movie.
here's what I laugh about it. There's a couple. Look, I think Undertaker is a great character. I think he does great promos. I don't know if he could hold up a whole film. I think like Hogan. I know Triple H. There's some guys. Look, I don't think John Cena's the best of actors. I think he sometimes kills it and sometimes he's just completely off. And Dave Bautista, I don't even know. Like I said, he's done like a couple of good movies, but he's had more trash than good movies. So, and The Rock has just been, I think The Rock's picked some good movies, and I think The Rock has lately not picked the best of them. But he is
Yeah,
The
like I said,
Rock
at
is a
Christmas.
natural actor. There's a
Yeah,
charisma that he does have when the screen. I don't know if the Undertaker had that. I think, man, that maybe is why look, the man can wrestle, and maybe he stayed in his own lane. But I don't know about acting wise because he could have had the opportunity, but I don't know. That's the one where I'm
yeah,
like, I think you might get the best out of him just shooting promos, man.
yeah, and maybe he just never wanted to do it. You
True,
could be
true.
right.
So you got to have the heart and desire to move in. And Hollywood's a heck of a machine, man. And a lot of
Yeah,
people don't want to deal with that. Uh,
yeah,
Next one up is the tribal chief right here, Roman
yeah,
Reigns. He got several different cuts for him and everything. So see, this is where the different heads come. The different hands. I love the two belts. There's again, Mattel's doing the packaging looks great. I love how they have the actual wrestler and then they have the actual figure right there. Like again, I think the ultimate a line that they have, that's where they're selling at. Their regular basic line, it looks basic at times. When I see them on the shelf at Target or in Walmart and everything, I think they look basic. Now, I will say, Mattel, we've got this coming up after Mr. Roman Reigns and everything. We'll move it to the Jazwares. Look,
mm,
I don't care what you say about any situation that Mattel's doing. They're doing way better than Jazzware in the AEW figures. And you and I have both seen these figures at most of the discount clearances across Southern California.
yeah. I'm gonna be honest with you, and I'm gonna agree with you because I'm turning around because I wanted to grab this. I wanted to hold one in my hand while I'm talking about it. The thing about these jazz words, and this is what really kind of irks me, is that they have not elevated the designs on any way in these last couple of years. It's like, okay, cool. Now you've got a line, you got a contract, you got a
Yeah.
license. You need to elevate what you do because when Jakks did it, they elevated. They had like stiff
Hmm.
statues,
Yeah.
and then they became statues with arms that move, and then it was the heads and arms, and then it was weight, and then they had articulated action figures. And
Hmm.
then they just kept growing and elevating. And I think that maybe that's one of the reasons why I love Jakks so much. But when I look at these, man, it's
Yeah.
just like they got a mold, and this is what the mold and just the waist, the inline waist and the upper torso waist, they both move, which is cool. The arms are okay and stuff, hands not so great or whatever, and the feet, the heads. I just want to say this, like this
Yeah.
designer thing, I would not want. But I will
Uh,
say this about my biggest beef with Jazz. Where is this? Their articulation is really good. There, it's good, but the heads are trash. Any any AEW figure I purchase, their heads come off. Their heads are loose. Their heads start to hang, and like they're like literally, you could just do a little twist to it, and the heads will pop off. And
now,
some of the
now,
figures I had to put tape under so that the heads would stay on. So I
yeah.
got a problem. When you spend money and you buy some of the figures, I got a problem with.
And I'm looking at like this John Moxley figure right here. And now they've got the cloth and they have been willing to do the cloth. But now here's where I'll tell you that kills them. is that while Mattel and most of the other toy companies, you see in the shoulder, there's not the additional rocker in the shoulder. You
Yeah,
know,
the
that
extensions.
like
Yeah,
there's like there, look again. I understand that this stuff. I don't prefer their figure lines. I think their boxes is. It looks like they're trying to use the same kind of
WWE, the
well no
classics.
it to me it kind of it kind of looks like the Jakks Pacific boxes.
It
So
is.
it's like they don't have their own unique kind of like design. You look at some of these other
That's
characters,
the
you know.
that is the exact TNA, which was Jax. When they lost their
Yeah,
contract with WWE, they picked up
yeah,
TNA, and this is the exact TNA box
yeah.
design. So
Hmm.
I'm sure some of the guys that left Jax went to Jazzware, or some of them may have been the ones that started Jazzware.
Maybe so.
But I think what they should have done, honestly, is let's take the same mold and design that Jax did, and let's do that with these. If they did do that, they would be selling way more figures because, as we discussed, I see so many AEW action figures
Yes,
on
yes.
clearance. They're at Ross. They're like,
Mhm.
I can't wait to this year because I'm hoping to get, this time around and stuff.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite wrestlers, or the wrestlers that I like, I wanted to grab and pick up and stuff. But
Well,
what
you'll
I
be
do
able to
like
pick them
about
up
these
at a
figures,
discounted price, sir.
what I do like about these figures is this, bro,
Yeah,
and that's just point being this. I've collected so many heads of
yeah.
action figures throughout the years when there's just like there's no real articulation. So I do stuff like this.
Mm.
Okay, you see that?
Let me. I'll put you.
Star Wars. I put the I
Yeah,
put the Star Wars head
yeah.
on this is the AEW figure. Why? Because the heads pop right off. I mean, like
Yeah.
literally, if you got like a bunch of heads of characters that you wish were articulated, you could buy the AEWs on clearance, and you could just take them and then wait. I got one. I can show you where the heads come right off, man. This is just like it's just like really hard to do. Here, here's what's his name?
Oh,
I can't even remember the dude's name. For the people, we the people. Watch this.
yeah.
Look how easy that
Uh,
comes off. This is the problem with like these figures. When you spend money and then the figures' heads don't even really stay on, like this is no sense for you to spend money on action figures when they're heads. If it was intended and you got multiple heads like the Mattel does, okay, cool, makes sense. I understand. But these are not
yeah.
made like that. It comes with one head. It's not supposed to pop off like that. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, like
if you're a
I think
collector and you got a figure, yeah,
they
yeah,
didn't
go ahead.
have a Mercedes Monet figure ready, but one's supposed to be coming for the end of the year, and then obviously,
No, thank you.
yeah,
No, thank you.
and again, this is the last of our assets, but I think when it comes right down to it, I think there's a look, I think Jazzware needs to do a little bit more work. I don't think their figure's good. If you're going to pick them up for pricing, then it makes sense. Like I said again, if you in Southern California here where we're at, they have like Ross's and TJ Maxx's, Burlington Coat Factories. If you're on the East Coast, then there's Ollie's and everything.
Yeah,
If you can pick up AEWs at a discounted price, Jazzware's
yeah,
items they're rarely worth the full price. So I would say this is the time, like I said again, where they're having that. A lot of these figures are sitting around. They're going to have that ready for Christmas time. A lot of those discounted, just like the last couple of years has been discount discount winner. Well, it's going to pop up again, and it's going to be a lot of these wrestling figures, whether it's the Mattel versions of them or it's going to be the Jazzware. You're going to be able to pick these up.
well,
Some of these at
yeah,
pretty good price.
yeah. This is the public service announcement. This is the time of the year when they
Yeah,
start putting those extra shelves at the stores, and you want to collect the AEWs or some of the other, even McFarlane's, any action figures that you really want to collect
yeah.
in a few weeks. And it's really like right close to Halloween or when they clearing out the Halloween stuff and
Hmm.
they're putting out the Christmas stuff. You go to Ross, you go to Burlington Coat Factory, and you go to what is that other store? Well, there used to be the store, but
And
Ross,
if you're on
Burlington
the
Coat
East Coast,
Factory.
Ollie's.
Yeah, Ollie's you're gonna be able to just go there anytime and just
Yeah.
grab stuff. I wish they would go ahead and open up that Ollie's out here in SoCal, man. But yeah, just overall, yeah, that's where you'll be able to get it. And
Hmm.
one of the things that we didn't touch on real quick was um, they signed the contract. AEW signed the contract. Well, they're signing the contract, finalizing the deal to be with Discovery, extended, and they're going to be on Max. So when this happened this week, um, they also announced DC Comics and everything. They've
Yeah, I
put
saw
out
that.
AEW comic books
Yeah.
or crossovers, AEW crossovers and
Mhm.
DC comic books. It's been done multiple times. WWE's done it.
Yeah.
Other brands done it. And I will just say this: if you're going to do something, do it right. If you're going to do something, do it right. And from what I've seen, that ain't right.
Yeah.
As far as
Well,
Strickland,
I'm
all
trying
of
to
that.
think of which one was one of the better wrestling comics, and I think maybe Kevin Nash's that was done back in the
Yeah, well,
day. But
our guy, Marat
yeah,
Michaels.
but most of the time, they've I know. I'm trying to think of the company Brian Paulita's company. I remember he did some WWE books back in the day, Undertaker and a bunch of, and those were crap. And I didn't
Those
like
trash.
Boom's work, and it's like, look, they just do the wrestling gimmick and put it out, and they've never really kind of been able to blend that well, and it's a shame because again, they have a lot of good characters, a lot of great people, and they
Per-
they they do need to do a little bit more justice to them when they put them in the comic book format.
Perfect example. Hurricane Helms.
Yeah,
He he created this character Hurricane that was a Green Lantern character,
yeah.
and he portrayed that character. And
Mhm.
then if you took his character, you could easily drop him into the DC universe as a Lantern. That's the simplicity of it. Like he's out of wrestling and into the body of a superhero and in storylines. There's a lot of characters in, or several, not a lot, but several characters in AEW that you could do that with. And then in the WWE, of course, there's tons of them. But the reality is, it just comes back to this one very simple thing. You and I, when we did Comic Con with Shaq, and we sat down with Eric, Valentine, no, was it
No,
Steph,
Eric Stephenson.
Eric Stephenson? Sat down
Yeah,
with Eric Stephenson with Shaq and everything, and we had a plan. We had a set of comic books. We had storylines that was taking his character into the realm that could turn into cartoons, movies. And he said, it would be cool if you did a comic book that was behind the scenes in the NBA.
mm.
And
Well, let's
honestly,
be
I just want
honest.
to say, shut
Yeah.
your ass up. You don't know what the hell you're talking about
I,
because
I
we
think it
already
comes down
had.
to I think it comes down very easily. There's just a lot of people that are still in. They have to get rid of the buffoons in the comic industry,
Yes.
and a lot of these guys are not marketing people. And I think you have to move. I think the reason why, like toys have really picked up. They brought in some really smart people. They're like grabbing a part of the demographic along with video games. I think comics is not because again, there's a lot of buffoons running these comic companies, and
True.
they're not marketing people and they don't know how to move into new media. And I don't think they're gonna ever really kind of do wrestling comics justice because I just think that they see it too literal. Again, it's like, hey, let's have this character do this or something. He does this on the show, let's have him do this. And it's like, I think when you take like a John Cena and you take him to it and put him in like an action movie or something, well, you probably got to do that. Take that character, put him into a storyline, and
Right.
just have him
Exactly.
perform instead of saying, "Let me use his gimmick and gimmick this into the realm of a comic book." And it's never worked out. I thought again. I think the best one I've seen is probably the Kevin Nash's one. That one was pretty interesting. He did one, and the Ultimate Warrior one was drawn okay, but it was one of the craziest stories I've ever seen.
Yeah. His own world is owned by his own universe.
So,
Yeah. But
maybe the
no,
good thing about it, Shadows, they should just stick away from comics. Maybe just, look, just like Roman Reigns, get your Nike shoes. due to other situations, but maybe just stay out of the realms of like, because even remember they had the WWE Superstar cartoon that was on, like stay out of animation, stay out of
Yeah,
comics, and just,
yeah.
just stick to action figures and clothing,
Great, I agree, totally agree. Yeah, there's a lane that you can be in and stuff like that. And it's like if you're doing something for kids, just a promotional thing or a learning thing,
Yeah,
cool, fantastic and stuff. But
yeah,
when you talk about crossovers with DC Universe and their heroes, this other kind of stuff, it's like I don't know. Action figure wise, we see that like the WWE is doing a crossover with the Ninja
yeah,
Turtles, which
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know. Roman Reigns is Shredder, looks good, and I want that. I don't know if I'll ever find it, but
yeah,
cool, But where at the same time you got what is it, Mortal Kombat style with AEW, or what was it, Ryu or whatever that character is that they were doing with AEW. So you
yeah,
know, you just do something to it, right? Put some work into it. Really, like put some creativity into it, and hire the right people to do it. And I think that that's just a theme of what we talk about today. It's
yeah.
just like we have a passion and a love for action figures. We
Of
want the
course.
best that we could possibly get, but at the same time, we want them at a reasonable price.
Yeah,
It's like if you're marketing toward, and like you said, it's like they're marketing to collectors on a lot of levels with
yeah,
Mattel, but it's like, dude, I'm not paying $30 because you put two heads in something. Like give me something that like really, really draws me in and makes me want to get it. But then at the same time, give it to me at a reasonable price. Because if they're selling them for 30, what are the collector stores selling them for? 50,
yeah.
100? So I don't know. I've always, but at the end of the day, you can still find a lot of cool stuff for
You
kids
can,
at stores.
you
So
can. And that's
and
the thing. Look for that. And we should have you do a couple of we'll be adding that to the new format of the show. We're gonna have some toy hunts and everything. So we'll do some wrestling figure toy hunts that clip into some of these episodes. Yeah,
yes,
Curry.
and to see, look, like where do you see this at? I haven't seen that at Target. I haven't seen it anywhere. I got this at Marshalls for $7.
Yeah, I've seen those
This
like
was
the
not a
Roxas and stuff
successful
like that.
line. It wasn't a
Yeah.
successful line, but guess
No.
what? These are really good articulated figures, man. And the design, the look, the realistic look of it. It's like, man, fantastic. I want to collect some of the other ones, but you
Well,
can't find them
enjoy
anywhere.
those original six because that's all you're gonna get, man.
That's it, bro. That's it. That's it. Agree with you on that one, man. But yeah, overall, man, yeah, this was fun. We definitely gonna have to
Yeah,
incorporate
and we'll do
towards
more of
action
these.
figure stuff, and if, especially when like special stuff comes out, we'll talk about it and stuff, and
Yeah.
we'll have
Hey,
fun with wrestling.
and we should have if you're in the comments or something else like that, we're over on make sure you're checking us out on social media. We're on X with Shadow Knows. We're on Instagram with Shadow Knows Network. If you guys got any collections and everything else, then send us over some of the photos of your collection, some of the figures that you think, or add that in the comments. Do you think we were right about the Jakks? Think we were wrong? Think that Mattel's doing pretty good jobs, or you just thought that we just were totally wrong on the Jazwares? Let us know in the comments, and we're going to keep this rolling with the new format and everything. So you never know what you're going to get on the Shadow Shoe Shot. As always, Shadow, pleasure doing the show with you, and looking forward to some of the new material, new stuff that we're keeping coming out with you. And again, man, I'll see you next time because I'm going to be here. I don't know if you're going to be here, but I'll be here.
That's right, y'all. Keep tuning in. Pixel Plastic and Inks on Fridays, Toybox Chronicles on Wednesdays, and Shadow Shoe Shot. Hey, and until next time, tune in if you got the guts.